It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calagione. It's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you're listening, I hope you're doing all right today. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simon's to get an authentic Italian meal. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by my book. Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. And you can get a copy of it while you're watching or listening to the show. Just visit BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com. Hey, looking for some Christmas gifts? You want them signed? Visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the book, and you can make it happen. Hey, you looking for more than one? Because I strongly recommend that you get 4, 5, maybe 10 copies of the book. Then just drop me an email. I'll cut you a deal. Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. And don't forget about downloading our app. It's for free. Visit the website, BillyCBoxing.com. And click the banner that says, download the Billy C app for free. Vasyl Lomachenko, Guillermo Rigondeaux, huge fight. We got some post-fight thoughts coming up. Lomachenko, all I'm going to say is, listen, boys and girls. You want the true definition of the sweet science, watch Vasyl Lomachenko fight. If you are a younger boxing fan, and I say younger, meaning 40 years old and younger, and you've drank the Kool-Aid that has been poured for you about the definition of the sweet science, you've been misled. You've been a victim of a smokescreen. Vasyl Lomachenko is the definition of the sweet science. The sweet science is hit and not get hit, but the rest of that statement is be in a position to inflict damage on your opponent. Vasyl Lomachenko does just that. He spins, he turns, he avoids, he does head movement. You can't hit him, but he's in there right in the pocket hitting you while you're trying to hit him. The sweet science is not someone who avoids a punch and runs to the other corner of the ring and dances all around. That fighter has to be able to inflict damage on his opponent at the same time his opponent is trying to inflict damage on him. That's the sweet science. That's what Vasyl Lomachenko does. We will be talking about that and some other fights. And also the WWE event known as Luis Ortiz against Daniel Martz, and all of the shenanigans that led up to Deontay Wilder in the ring being choreographed. It was sickening. I was waiting for Mean Gene Okerlund to pop out of the woodwork, and Jesse the Body Ventura. Well, Mean Gene. That's the way it was. It was 100% WWE. I had to laugh. But first, I just want to mention one thing. Eric Skokolen, a super middleweight fighter. He's a contender. He fought a very exciting and brutal fight against Callum Smith back in September as part of the World Boxing Super Series event. Apparently over the weekend he was feeling ill when he was training, and went to a hospital, and ultimately was placed in a medically induced coma, and went under surgery to repair a bleed that's taken place on his brain. According to the doctors, the results were good, and they are expecting a recovery. However, the next 4 or 5 days are going to be critical. So everyone here from the Billy C family want to wish Eric Skokeland a speedy and healthy return to the ring. Joining me right now from St. Simon's Island, Georgia, with his thoughts on the Lomachenko and Rigondeaux fight is Sal Rocky Sentacola. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, Billy C. How are you today, pal?
I'm not doing too great. Well, I'm doing great, I should say. I'm doing great. Not doing too bad is what I was meant to say. I don't know why that other choice of words popped out. But what did you think of the fight?
Well, as you were saying, Vasyl Lomachenko is 100% by the definition of the sweet science, a boxer, a fighter, a warrior. The guy is phenomenal, all right? He's in another class, another plateau, another level. He is. I tell you what, I can't speak highly. I can't say enough about this guy. He just does it all, and he's got the resume to prove it. He's only had about 10 professional fights, but let me tell you about it. He's got the world of experience behind him, and he's got the maturity. He's got the level of intelligence. He's a fighter that is a matador in the ring, and he'll take on anybody in his weight class, and he will do what he did the other night. Rigondeaux, I don't know what the no mas situation about the hand is all about, but I know that he was not doing as well as he thought he was going to do in his fight, and I give him credit to step in the ring with Lomachenko, but boy, I'll tell you what, Lomachenko just destroyed him. Just almost no mas embarrassed him.
In case you were, if you're a boxing fan and you were living under a rock this past weekend, Vasyl Lomachenko stopped Guillermo Rigondeaux over the weekend. Basically, Rigondeaux quit before the start of the 7th round. Lomachenko improves to 10 wins, 1 loss, with 8 of his W's coming by knockout. And Rigondeaux, loses for the first time in his career. Clearly was outclassed in this fight. I was waiting for something to start with him,
yes,
but he just couldn't get it going. I mean, I think credit goes to Lomachenko for pretty much heading him off at the pass, heading him off at every turn that Rigondeaux tried to do. One of the things that I like the best about Lomachenko is that, first of all, he's fluid in the ring in every way, shape, or form. His hands, his delivery of the punches, his footwork, his head movement from a defensive standpoint. But the thing I like about him, and I believe he learned it in his fight against Orlando Salido, was the simple fact that, listen, if a fighter's going to do something to you, maybe do something above and beyond the rules, and the referee chooses not to say anything or do anything about it, you give him something right back, and that neutralizes it. And that's exactly what Lomachenko did. Rigondeaux started getting in a position where he felt that his time was starting to get numbered. His patented move of holding the head down of an opponent and then hitting him or getting a cheap shot in at the break when a referee calls break. Lomachenko had no part of it. He gave it right back to Rigondeaux. And quite honestly, Sal, Rigondeaux didn't have any answers for this guy, a guy that was regarded as a pound-for-pound top fighter, and I'm talking about Rigondeaux, and certainly he is, had no answers. I do not think it had anything to do with the size. They both look physically the same size. Maybe it had something to do with the age, although Rigondeaux didn't have a lot of mileage on him. I don't know if you could find any excuse, but I will say this. There were no excuses. I think Lomachenko just showed that he's the far superior fighter. And quite honestly, there's not a fighter in pro boxing, and there hasn't been a fighter in pro boxing for the last 15 years that comes close to Lomachenko's ability inside the ring. What's your thoughts?
No, I tell you, you hit it right on the head, Bill. I mean, he had an answer for anything and everything that Rigondeaux was going to try and do. He anticipated. The guy's such a ring master. I mean, he showed it all. He was able to move. He was able to get in. He was able to avoid the punches, and he was having fun. I mean, the guy is a ring master, and that's all you need to know. This guy had an answer for anything and everything that he was going to face in Rigondeaux. And Rigondeaux knew it, because a fighter will know in his heart of hearts. He said, "Wow, what else do I have to do?" And this was simply a Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran rematch, where Duran threw up his hand and said, "No mas." This was just another version of it, because Rigondeaux had nowhere to go, nowhere else to hide, and he just said, forget about it. I can't do this. I'm not going to beat this guy. This guy has an answer for everything I'm trying to do, in my opinion, my humble opinion.
We'll get back to this fight a little bit later and really get in depth with the post-fight analysis of this fight. I just want to get some other fights out of the way real quick. One thing I do want to mention about the Lomachenko, what I love is when he, if a fighter was holding him, like Rigondeaux was really holding him a lot.
Yes.
And he would turn around and give like 3 or 4 quick little taps to the chin as they were breaking up, which is just, a little sign, hey, dude, I'm here, and holding's not going to work with me. And I think you're right. I think Rigondeaux mentally it was over for him. But anyway,
shut down.
We'll get back to that in a second. Some other fights on that card. Michael Conlan, a 2016 Olympian, went the distance for the first time in his short professional career as he won a six-round unanimous decision over Luis Fernando Molina in his fight to improve to 5-0 with 4 knockouts. All 3 judges scored it the same, 40-36. And Molina drops the 4th fight of his career. He's 4-1 in his pro career. In the junior lightweight division, Christopher Diaz improved to 22-0 with 14 knockouts when he took care of Bryant Cruz in 3 rounds. Cruz drops to 18-3 with 9 knockouts. Shakur Stevenson took care of Oscar Mendoza via the 2nd round stoppage. Stevenson now is 4-0 with a couple of knockouts. Mendoza drops to 4-3. The official time was 1 minute and 38 seconds of the 2nd round. Over in a fight that took place a little bit later, Miguel Roman improved to 58-12 when he scored a 9th round knockout over 4-time world champion in a couple of different weight classes, Orlando Salido, who drops to 44-14 with 4 draws. What an exciting, action-packed fight this was. I think this was a clear case of now. First of all, both fighters were warriors, and both fighters came up the hard way. They were not protected, etc., etc. Both very similar in style. Both were mentally prepared. Both were physically prepared. But in this fight, Sal, I thought that Orlando Salido clearly aged. If he was not aged already, he clearly aged before our eyes, and he acknowledged that at the end of the fight. What was your thoughts on this one?
It was, as you said, it was a great fight. It was a couple great rounds in there, and it was ebb and flow. I had Salido winning the first early rounds, and then Roman came back. Of course, he dropped Salido in the 4th round, which was a 10-8 round, and he dropped him again in the 8th round. Roman he was a gamer. I mean, Salido looked bigger. He looked more mature. He looked older, and Salido looked like he was dominant early on. But I'll tell you what, I saw in the 3rd round, they panned the camera to him in the corner. I saw the 3rd round. He had a look on his face, Salido did. That's almost like, and I can't say, but it almost like, it's like, what am I really doing here right now? It was like, what am I going to do? He just looked like he was a beaten fighter in that 3rd round, and he was up. I mean, I gave him the first 3 rounds. So I don't know, but he just had a look on his face that I'll never forget. It was like, what am I really doing here? That's where my impression was, and we know what he was doing there. He was trying to fight and get out of the fight as a winner. But I'll tell you what, Roman had a good answer. He came on strong in the end, and that TKO, pretty much depicted what I thought I saw in the third round.
That first round was a close one. Everybody said
it was close.
Salido won that round. I don't know. I thought Roman could have gotten a nod, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter at all. These two guys had a very similar style, which made it an exciting fight. But hey, Roman gets to move on and earn himself another big shot. And Salido, I think he made the right decision. He's been in wars. He's been down before many times, as a matter of fact. Usually comes back. Both of these guys, I thought, you mentioned the size. I thought both of them were pretty even. They both had tree trunk legs. I mean, these are throwback fighters. What you witnessed between Roman and Salido are throwback fighters, meaning, they come at you. They're trying to inflict damage on their opponent. They're taking, not that it's right, but, they're taking some shots to land some shots. Their priority in the fight was to inflict damage on their opponent, regardless of what the cost. No running, no hiding between these two guys, and the end result was it was a memorable fight. Is it worthy of a 2017 fight of the year? Is it worthy of a top 10 fight of the year? Maybe. It was that exciting. But in the on the undercard, Kenichi Agawa.
You got it.
23-1 with 17 knockouts when he won a split decision over Tevin Farmer, who drops to 25-3 with a draw. He also claimed a IBF junior lightweight belt. The way the judges scored it, 116-112, 115-113 for Agawa, and one judge had it 116-112 for Farmer. I thought that this fight was close enough to go either way. I would not call this a robbery in any way, shape, or form. However, I felt the earlier part of the fight, Farmer was in control, and then the second half of the fight, Agawa was in control. And I think that, Agawa did land some big, powerful shots that seemed to get Tevin Farmer going backwards. I think that was the difference in this fight, because other than that, it seemed like it was back and forth and a pretty even fight. But I think the right guy won this one. What was your thoughts, Sal?
It was a close one, Bill. And as you suggested, I thought Farmer was going to pull it out. But I'll tell you what, Agawa, as you suggested, he did come on later part of that fight, and leave it to Beaver. But this guy definitely. It could have gone either way, is what I'm saying. But I think Agawa, pulled it out. He was strong. He was dominant, and Farmer did the best he could. He looked good at times. He looked like, I don't want to say he was struggling, but he looked like he was getting a little frustrated. His punches weren't landing as crisp or as often, and Agawa kept having an answer too for him too. He kept coming back stronger and stronger. So it was a good fight. I enjoyed the fight, and Agawa definitely got the right nod.
Also on that card, former super featherweight champ Francisco Vargas improved to 24-1 with a couple of draws when he won a 9th round technical decision over Steven Smith, who drops to 25-4. The fight was scheduled for 10 rounds, but a clash of heads forced the fight to go to the scorecards. This was an entertaining fight. Vargas is a come-at-you fighter, and I thought Steven Smith did better than I thought he would. But we'll see what happens next for Vargas. Some other fights just to get out of the way real quick. Khalib Truax upsets James DeGale with a 12-round majority decision to pick up his belt. And I'm talking about his, meaning Chunky DeGale's belt. Khalib Truax goes to 29-3 with a couple of draws. DeGale loses the second time in his career, 23-12-1. 114-114 was the way one judge scored it. One had it 115-112. The other had it 116-112. all in favor of Truax. DeGale was a huge favorite in this fight. I didn't think that Truax had a chance, to be honest with you. Talk about aging quickly. DeGale seemed to have aged between his last fight and this fight. No disrespect to Khalib Truax, but I would have never even put him in the same discussion as James DeGale. Just goes to show you how quickly you lose your position. So hats off to the new IBF super middleweight champion. Also, Lee Selby won a 12-round unanimous decision over Eduardo Ramirez to improve to 21-1 with 9 knockouts. The way the judges scored that, Ramirez drops to 20-1 with 3 draws. The way the judges scored it, 118, 110, 119, 109, 116, 112. I don't know where that score came from. And also, a fight that I wanted to mention real quick in the heavyweight division, Daniel Dubois, Triple D, if you will, stops Dorian Darch in the second round to improve to 6-0 with 6 knockouts. He also dropped Dorian Darch in the first round. Darch had a hell of a time getting out of that first round. He drops to 12-6-1. We're going to keep an eye on Daniel Dubois, a very impressive heavyweight to keep an eye on. And speaking of heavyweights, I'm going to talk about the Luis Ortiz fight against Daniel Martz as soon as we come back from break. And the WWE-like feeling I got from that one, Sal. I'm sure you felt the same way. We're both going to talk about that in about 2 minutes, so don't go anywhere.
Billy C will be right back.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by. This is important news for people who had a hip replacement and then had to have additional surgery as the result of a faulty hip implant, or were diagnosed with high levels of metal in the blood, known as metallosis. You may have a right to a cash award and medical expenses. If you have been diagnosed with high levels of metal in your blood or have required more surgery because of hip implant failure, call the law offices of Davis & Crump right now. Our first consultation is free and we don't get paid unless you get paid. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And we just gave you the results of Triple D. That's Daniel Dubois. Improved to 6-0 with 6 knockouts on Saturday when he beat Dorian Darch. One thing I will say about this, I don't know if you saw this fight, Sal, but and I just am commenting on the some comments in the chat room. He did take some shots. Darch did land some shots, and he seemed like he was susceptible to somebody that comes right at him and throws quick punches. Something similar to what I see with Deontay Wilder at times. When you get in their wheelhouse and let your hands go, they immediately move back. Now, granted, Dubois is only 6 professional fights under his belt, but did you watch that fight or no?
No, I missed that one.
Yeah, that was a good one. Go back and watch that one. But okay, now for the WWE event. I'm sorry, not the WWE event. The ESPN event that took place on Friday. I'm sorry, on Saturday before the. Actually, no, this fight was Friday. This was on
Friday
FS1.
night, yeah.
I'm sorry. The ESPN, I'm getting them confused. We saw so many
There's so many fights this weekend,
FS1,
Bill. I
we
couldn't
saw
keep
ESPN,
track.
and we saw HBO. I mean, we saw a bunch of great fights on easy-to-watch television. But the Ortiz against Daniel Martz. Now, this was the co-main event. The main event, Jean Pascal, I had a feeling he was going to win this fight. He did announce that this was his last professional fight, and he came out and did exactly what I thought. I know I was in the minority, but Ahmed Ibilai just never stepped in the ring with anyone with the caliber of Jean Pascal. Now, granted, Jean Pascal has not been the same, and his skill set has clearly eroded. He's turned into a very, let's just say, heavy mileage fighter. But he did enough to beat Ibilai when he stopped him in the 6th round. Jean Pascal, according to him, ended his career with 32 wins, 5 losses, and a draw. Ibilai loses for the first time in his career, 16-1 now with 13 knockouts. I think this was a clear case, Sal, of a fighter who is not given the opportunity to increase their level of opposition. Ibilai showed that he's got some skill, and he showed that he's got a granite chin. But he didn't know what else to do. I mean, this is a perfect example of why I get so pissed off when fighters are coddled and overprotected by their management. And here is a great example. You put this kid in, you have him up to 16-0 with 13 knockouts. Everybody knows Jean Pascal is faded and done at 35, so you want to put the name on his resume, on Ibilai's. But the problem is he's never fought anybody with that much experience, and I think that in the end, the right guy won the fight, and no one should blame Ibilai. They should blame his management. What's your thoughts?
Well, that's a good way to look at it, Bill, and I think it's pretty close and right on. But, Ibilai, this was a definite learning curve that he didn't anticipate and he wasn't exposed to, as you suggested in the beginning, or any time throughout his early career. And what you found was an experienced old cagey fighter who found a way to win one more time. And he did it by taking advantage of this guy's inexperience and not knowing the ropes that as well as everyone hoped he would have had done so in his corner. So it was a clear example of it. It was right there. You saw it. What you see is what you got.
Well, I just blame, this is, and for all you young fighters out there that have management, this is why you want to increase your level of opposition so you can prepare yourself and learn some of these, tricks of the trade, so to speak, and be prepared when you get your opportunity. Ibilai was not prepared, and as a fighter, you fight whoever they put in front of you, so you can't really blame him. I blame the management, and now, in a sense, he's taken a step back. If he would have increased his level of opposition a little bit along the way. When I looked at his resume, I saw the same types of fighters for the last 2 years. They have not increased him at all. And that does not help develop a fighter. I'm sorry, it doesn't. But anyway, after the fight, Jean Pascal said it was a beautiful fight. I knew it would be my last one, and I wanted to make a statement against a young, unbeaten fighter. It went basically as I expected, a couple of difficult moments, but I was able to do everything I wanted. You know, to me, Sal, a fighter that has a successful career, one that, you know, ends up with world titles and fame and money and all of that, I think it's important to go out like Jean Pascal did, facing a real opponent, a real live opponent, an opponent that is actually you're the opponent for, and make a statement like that. I can't stand when fighters that have a great pedigree go out just against a punching bag. I mean, what is that proven? I mean, it gives them one last shot of performing in front of a crowd, but that's it. I think Jean Pascal, this fight could probably linger on in his mind and be more important to him than even capturing a title. I mean, he went and beat a guy that was early in his career, an undefeated fighter that was basically supposed to make quick work of him, and he came out on top. What's your thoughts?
I think you're right on, and he'll remember this forever. And it's like that old saying: a fighter that earns a victory over an easy fight is like the morning dew; it'll soon leave his memory. But a fighter that earns a victory that's born of blood, sweat, and tears and years of experience is more likely to stay with him than his entire life. And that's what this one will do. And he did it, and my hat's off to him. KG, old veteran, did what he had to do, and he won.
Now, for the fight of the weekend, and I don't mean that seriously, but Luis King Kong Ortiz improved to 28-0 with 24 knockouts when he scored a second-round annihilation of Daniel Martz 43 seconds into the second round, to be exact. Martz was down in the first round due to a body shot. That looked like it. I mean, listen, I know Martz, and I feel bad for him because he really wants to fight. He's never fought. Nobody's really teaching this kid, and his management is basically building him up to get some paydays like this. And the sad part about it is he risks getting hurt. But this fight, what I got out of this fight was a couple of things. One, I thought, and I'm a big fan of Ortiz, okay? And he was in there with a guy that is supposed to make him look good. But I got news for you. I thought Ortiz looked slow. I thought he looked slow and vulnerable. This fight was clearly a setup for him and Deontay Wilder, making it sound like they are controlling the heavyweight division. Mentioned several times, along with the announcing team, which made it even worse, that Anthony Joshua was ducking him, so they have to fight each other. But if this was not a WWE event, I don't know what was. I couldn't help but think that I was going to see Vince McMahon and Mean Gene Okerlund come out of the background. It was a joke. Deontay Wilder said, "I've wanted you, and I'm going to bless you again with another opportunity. I was ready for the first time. This is a new day for you. I think you're one of the best heavyweights in the world. I want to prove that I'm the best. We got to fight each other. You'll have your fight." Ortiz says, "Anthony Joshua doesn't want to fight either of us. Let's give the world this fight. There'll be no excuses. I'll be ready to do this for Cuba." I mean, Deontay Wilder went as far as saying that the knockout that he put on Bermain Stavern was him actually thinking it was Luis Ortiz. I mean, this was so set up, Sal. It was sickening. What's your thoughts?
It was. I mean, even the commentary when they said, "Well, how big is this guy? 6'7"? Wasn't that Deontay Wilder size?" I mean, come on. It was. It was just as you said, and a poor guy. I'll tell you, Martz. He just looked like a punching bag. He was just there for a little bit, and the one punch in the solar plexus put him down the first, and then he just went. He ate that right hand in the second, and that was it, man. This guy, as you said, Luis Ortiz, it didn't really help him by any way of testing him or giving him a real thorough workout or work off some rust. And he just did what he had to do. And I'll tell you, Bill, to me, Ortiz, because there wasn't much of a fight, it just looked average in a sense. And as you suggested, with Deontay Wilder jumping up in the ring, "I'm ready for this, I'm going to do this," and touting his horn, and Anthony Joshua doesn't want any part of us and all that. that's if you. I left you a message saying it's hard to imagine that that Deontay Wilder is the best heavyweight champ or heavyweight out there. When you look at the opposition, look what he's going to have to face and stuff. And even though he has a style, I think he's going to beat Ortiz. I have no doubt he's going to beat Ortiz. And I think he's just going to be too fast for him and too, like we said, that drunken octopus mode that he goes into will be too much for Ortiz to handle. But I think we're going to see that fight before we see Joshua.
Of course we're going to see that fight. That fight's already made. That's going to be the fight we see in early 2018. You're going to see Ortiz fight Wilder. They're going to bill it like it's the heavyweight fight. But let me tell you, I'm with you. I don't see Ortiz beating Wilder. I think they waited long enough, Team Wilder, for Ortiz to age. He's not the same fighter. He showed me nothing. And you're right. My same exact sentiment. I think that Ortiz looked ordinary against a guy he should have destroyed anyway. To me, he looked slow. He did look like he was in decent shape. Wilder did admit to that. But Ortiz, I think the reason why he fought this fight was just it was a staged fight to get these two. I mean, if you watch what happened, they had Ortiz out there, and the commentators are saying, "Oh, look at the fans mobbing Ortiz, mobbing Wilder. No matter where he goes, fans are all around. Everybody knows who Wilder is." I'm saying to myself, you know, how funny is that? We had just talked about the fact that nobody knows who the hell he is. You know, it's not true. That, you know, even in New York, that he calls his second home, nobody knows who he is. You know, maybe in a boxing venue, they know who he is. But on the street, they don't. You know, you got Anthony Joshua busting through plate glass windows to open up stores or demolition of stores or whatever. You know, that's a guy that's, you know, able to do that. And I'm not saying because he's powerful. I'm saying be able to have the interest in somebody to hire him to do that it speaks volumes. But anyway, hold that thought. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we got more on this and also some emails, and we're going to get deeper into the Lomachenko victory. Is he the best pound-for-pound fighter that we've seen in 10, 15, even 20 years? Might be. I'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by. today.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And just before we went to break, we were talking about Luis Ortiz's victory over Daniel Martz. But really, that wasn't as entertaining as the WWE setup. You know, you had Wilder down sitting at the thing, and they were pointing at each other. And I don't know if you caught this, but as they have Ortiz in the ring talking about his victory, they literally came over and an escort, got Wilder, picked him. I mean, boxing is supposed to be real. You know, it's not supposed to be WWE. It's not supposed. A lot of respect for ESPN. FS1 I never even looked at because they are an MMA, WWE type of a network to begin with. I mean, that's their presentation. So, but ESPN really took a couple of steps back. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I do. You know, at least when you have Teddy Atlas down there, it's kind of a grounded show. I mean, you know, he pulls everybody in because he's not afraid to say anything he wants to say, which is why he wasn't saying what he had to say this time. Basically, like I said, whether you like him or not, Teddy Atlas does bring a little bit of a reality shot and a little bit of level-headed boxing analysis to the spectrum, to the venue. And without it there, these guys were loose cannons and just inept where they were and not having the clarity or the insight or the anticipation of what to say next, other than just reporting. You know, that's my assessment of what I saw.
In the NFL yesterday, the Bills beat the Colts 13-7 in overtime. The Bears over the Bengals 33-7. The Packers topped the Browns. I believe that game went to overtime too, 27-21. The Chiefs over the Raiders 26-15. The Cowboys took care of the Giants, even with Eli, 30-10. Yeah. The Lions beat the Bucks 24-21. The Panthers over the Vikings 31-24. The 49ers win the second game of the season 26-16 over the Texans. The Broncos beat up the hapless Jets 23-0. You know, I hope the Jets don't win another game. I hope their coach gets fired. I hope McNown never throws another football again. I can't say enough about the hapless Jets. The Cardinals beat the Titans 12-7. The Chargers over the Redskins 30-13. The Eagles beat the Rams 43-35, but they lost their quarterback. What a blow to the Eagles, who I thought may have been the best team in football. The Jaguars over the Seahawks 30-24, and the Steelers squeaked by the Ravens 39-38. In the NBA, the Raptors topped the Kings 102-87. The Celtics beat the Pistons 91-81. The Pacers beat the Nuggets 126-116 in overtime. The Timberwolves beat the Mavericks 97-92. The Pelicans over the 76ers 131-124. And the Knicks beat the Hawks 111-107. In the National Hockey League, the Maple Leafs shut out the Oilers 1-0. The Blues beat the Sabres 3-2 in overtime. The Wild over the Sharks 4-3 in overtime. And the Blackhawks beat the Coyotes 3-1. I got some emails, Sal. First one is from Willie. He says, wow, what a dream talent Lomachenko is. I love watching him work. His magic against Rigondeaux. He was amazing. Rigondeaux was getting his ass handed to him. It turns out Rigondeaux is a defeatist and a bad loser. loser. Him quitting like that immediately brought back memories of Roberto Duran, annoyed by the ease with which Sugar Ray Leonard was beating him in 1980, turned his back and quit. One thing I want to add about that No Mas fight that bothers me to this day, you know, the frustration of Roberto Duran caused him to say no mas.
Correct.
You know, it wasn't as much of a quitting on the stool as Rigondeaux did.
No.
I think that the issue with Roberto, I know that the issue with Roberto Duran is he was a warrior. He was a guy that wanted to go in there and, you know, mano a mano. You know, who's the best fighter? Let's duke it out. Let's you know, go in there and see who's the man. And Sugar Ray Leonard was dancing around, hitting him with shots, running away from him, and that's what got, you know, Duran frustrated and ultimately quitting. No mas. The Rigondeaux fight was totally different because Lomachenko was doing whatever he wanted, and he wasn't running. The guy was right there. Rigondeaux couldn't hit him, couldn't do anything, and Lomachenko was right in front of him. You know, at any given time, Lomachenko was not more than 3 feet away. The furthest he got away is when he would circle around him, do a complete 360 around him. I mean, and, you know, spinning Rigondeaux around, totally different. I get what people are saying in terms of the quitting factor. But the difference in the fight, and no disrespect to Sugar Ray Leonard, the difference in this fight is Lomachenko is a guy that's right there, and you can't hit him, but he's hitting you. That's the sweet science, boys and girls. Please don't look at it any other way. Floyd Mayweather did not show us the sweet science. He showed us how to hit and run, hit and run, hit and run. Lomachenko does not do that. So I hope that, you know, a lot of you fans out there got an edumacation, because the truth of the matter is Vasyl Lomachenko is the definition of sweet science. Sorry about that. But anyway, he says, I noticed that Rigondeaux didn't give Lomachenko any credit for winning the fight. He probably thought that he was the best until he'd gone a few rounds with Lomachenko. What a kick in the teeth that must have been for him. In retrospect, he didn't have much chance at all, did he? I hope Lomachenko keeps nice and busy next year. That's if he can find anyone who's willing to fight him. I just want to see more of him, and I'm sure we all do. Bob Arum was right when he said you can't do anything with him. He's untouchable. I'm waiting to hear news about Rigondeaux's injured hand. If that isn't broke, the powers that be might be seeking to keep some of his purse back because of him quitting as early as he did. I doubt it. He went, you know, they're not gonna withhold any of his money. He says, hey, Billy C., guess what? The mystery secret USB stick is back in the news. Vladimir Klitschko is putting it up for auction along with the robe he wore for the fight against Anthony Joshua. Apparently the stick has been sewn into the garment. Klitschko said, and I quote, I will auction my robe, which I was wearing at my last boxing fight ever, and you can get it. The new owner will find my prediction before the fight on a USB stick that's been sewed in. The Klitschko Foundation for Underprivileged Children will benefit from the proceeds. The action will take place on December 13th. I'll finish off by saying I love the show more and more as time goes by. I can't get enough of it. And I have a favor to ask. Please sing the 12 Days of Christmas for us again this year. It was great.
Yes.
Sexy Ring Car Girls, etc. I won't sing it, but I will post it somewhere. Maybe I'll play it on the show.
We'll both sing it, Bill. We could sing it.
Well, it's my version of it, Sal. Obviously, you don't know what
I know
he's
that.
talking about.
I heard it. It's great. It's brilliant.
With the maximum of respect to you, Willie, a funny guy, so Sal calls me. The joke I mentioned to you in the previous email goes like this. A guy in the next cell to me in prison told me he was doing time for shagging dogs. I looked at him disgustedly and said, how low can you get? And the guy said, down to a Jack Russell. I think that's pretty funny. You know, I like I said, Sal, Lomachenko, thanks for the email, Willie. Lomachenko, I think, displayed that he's clearly eons above. I can't recall of a fighter that has displayed this kind of control over an opponent in the ring for a long time. As a matter of fact, I can't think of any that come to mind. How about you?
No, I mean, we talked about it yesterday at work. I mean, I told a lot of my staff to watch this fight, and we were watching it right there in the restaurant. And I'll tell you what, They all agree. They didn't know where this guy came from. They never saw anything like it. And I'll tell you what, Lomachenko picked up a lot of fans last night because of his ability, because of what he does. He is a rare breed. He's unique. He's another version of what boxing needs today. He's a warrior. He's got a relentless mentality, mindset. He's a winner. He trains above and beyond what the average fighter may even consider a workout. And he is just a superior fighter on a world-class stage. A fighter like this doesn't come on a stage every day. And in fact, Sugar Ray Leonard was reared and earned the ability to prove that he was something special as well. And I'll tell you what, let it be known that Vasyl Lomachenko is of that special breed, that special mode that does not come into the ring every year, every day. And this guy is very, very special. And I think he's going to have a brilliant career. I just hope they don't try to move him up, because I think he's a great junior lightweight. And, I could see the people saying he's going to be a lightweight or junior welterweight or welterweight. I think right now he's brilliant at the weight class he is.
I agree with you 100%. It's tough because he's not going to have that many dance partners.
Yeah.
They're gonna try to talk him into moving up. There's already discussion of him moving up to fight Mikey Garcia at 135. The thing about Lomachenko is that Rigondeaux prevented him from showing us if he could finish off an opponent. You mentioned Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard was a master at finishing his opponent.
Yes,
if he
was.
saw his opponent hurt, he went in for the kill. You didn't survive. Sugar Ray Leonard didn't let you off the hook.
Never.
Neither did Sugar Ray Robinson. These great fighters, these all-time great fighters, don't let you off the hook once they set it. And I believe Lomachenko is similar to that. I think Rigondeaux deprived us of that, or at least to see if Lomachenko could have finished off his opponent. Remember, he's only got 11 pro fights. So so the jury's still out on him. But all of a sudden, the fan bases are going to start trying to coax him to move up. I think Mikey Garcia is too big for him.
Me too.
And Mikey Garcia displayed that he doesn't have the power at the bigger weights. I think Lomachenko and his team should look at that. I know one of his goals, Lomachenko, is to be regarded as the best ever in the sport. He's well on his way, but you can't do things that are impossible. And although I do respect fighters that move up and take on challenges, Lomachenko could easily take on and clean up the division he's in right now. And when there's not anyone left, then consider moving up. He should rip a page out of other fighters' books and let Mikey Garcia evolve, get a little bigger, get a little older. But Lomachenko right now, the best fighter pound for pound in the sport of boxing today. Got another email. This is from our buddy Matt Quinn out of Buffalo, who was ringside. He says, both of our Friday predictions were right in a way. What are you talking about? I picked Lomachenko. I picked Pascal. He says Lomachenko cracked the Rigondeaux puzzle and won big via a stoppage. With that being said, we both didn't predict the complete domination and quitting of a pound-for-pound fighter in his biggest fight. I was shocked to see Rigo completely neutralized and turned into a joke before our eyes, divulging into dirty tactics, clinches, and simply lowering his head down as to attempt to kiss his butt and career goodbye was not quite the performance anyone was hoping for. When the main bout started at Madison Square Garden, there was a split between Rigondeaux and Lomachenko chants. The first round being mostly a feel-out kept the chants alive. By the end of the second, though, Rigo chants had got subsided. From my vantage point, Rigo was completely outclassed and outworked from the second round on. The hard straight left in the sixth and the triple uppercut, that was nice, by Lomachenko with two main highlights to have seen live. I felt the hard straight left hurt Rigondeaux and was one of the contributing factors to him quitting. I was on my phone texting friends updates after the sixth round and was shocked to hear no moss out of Rigondeaux's corner. I spoke to the fans around me and opined that the point for excessive holding was a bridge too far for the Jackal. The phantom hand injury from air punching excuse was pathetic for such a talented fighter. His biggest fight, to have to quit, will undoubtedly tarnish and finish his career for good. Lomachenko, on the other hand, showcases an incredible domination and masterpiece by delayed acclaim as the pound-for-pound king of boxing. His footwork, speed, and strings and combinations, while not getting hit, was seeing the definition of the sweet science before our very eyes. Although not the classic we were hoping for, I'm thankful I was fortunate enough to be there at such a bout. No event has the electricity or excitement of a live fight, let alone a super fight. After the bout, I wound up at Jack Doyle's on 35th Street for Lomachenko's after-fight party while drinking a Goose Island IPA. I was able to personally congratulate the champ as he strolled into his own party. I now understand the oft-repeated line, shake the hand that shook the world. It's actually shake the hand that shook the hand of the hand. It was a thing that started out with John L. Sullivan. But a great thing. Matt also sent me some photos from where he was sitting. Looked like he had a great vantage point. Matt, I'm glad you had such a good time. And I think he's right. You know, I think that this performance, Lomachenko, very well may have ruined a great career by Rigondeaux, and people are going to look at him now. He's going to be a forgotten guy. I think Lomachenko did that to him on Saturday. Sal, what do you think?
Bill, you know what's one of my favorite sayings? You're only as good as your last fight. That's what people are going to remember. And Rigondeaux is going to be remembered right now as a quitter. Not all the victories he's had before, not what he's done in the ring before, but literally that he couldn't touch Lomachenko. He couldn't get out of first gear, and he wound up not answering the bell for the 8th round. And due to an injured hand, excuse me, maybe, and that right there is just enough that saying for his future bouts that may be that, wow, let's see what happens this time. It's not a definitive moment for him to say, hey, he's going to automatically win, or he's great, or he's this and that, because we just saw he was as good as his last fight, and what he showed us was not what a lot of fans on his team or in his corner were hoping to find from Rigondeaux.
We got another last email. This is from my man Henry. He says, first and foremost, it's been a long time. Billy C., happy holidays to you and your family. Thank you so much, Henry, and same to you, my man. I thought we lost you forever. Obviously, he went under a different handle for the longest time. I won't get into that, but we did miss his back and forth comments over the years. But he says, I just need your input on this weekend's fight cards in what I, among others, thought would be a great historical fight. Lomachenko, in my eyes, was just too much for an older and smaller Rigondeaux. I myself picked Lomachenko, but I really didn't expect him to dominate the way he did. I don't think anybody did, Henry, honestly.
No,
I mean,
right.
we all thought it was going to be a good fight, but I don't think anybody really expected him to dominate the way he did. So you're not alone. He said the angles, the foot speed, he just has a history of making fighters quit. I think Rigondeaux realized coming up 2 weight divisions was a big ask. So what's your thoughts on where each fighter goes on from here? Mikey Garcia versus Lomachenko, to me, has the best shot to beat him if he goes up in weight. Then James, okay, first and foremost, before I move on, you know, Friday and Thursday, I talked a lot, or not Thursday, Wednesday and Friday, I talked a lot about the size difference. And, you know, I really thought that was going to be an issue in this fight. However, fight night, they did not look any different in size. They did have a rehydration clause, which kept Lomachenko, around the same size as Rigondeaux. And in the ring, I did not think Lomachenko looked that much bigger. I think that is reason to also know that Lomachenko actually moved up to fight this, in the weight class that he's fighting now. So I mean, he was actually in a lower weight class. So. No, and as far as him moving up to fight Mikey Garcia, yes, they've talked about that. But remember something, Mikey Garcia can make 135, but he also fought at junior welter at 140, and he's also talked about being able to move up to 147. This is a guy that's way physically bigger than Lomachenko, And I don't understand why a lot of fans today constantly expect fighters to move up in weight. Again, if we went back to same-day weigh-ins, I don't think you would be able to see this kind of flexibility moving up and down in weights, because we're not getting a true representation of weight classes on fight night, although we kind of had two similar-sized guys in this fight. Anyway, he says the James DeGale fight, who I thought at one time was one of boxing's best, looked like a shot fighter. To me, he was taking too much punishment, and the shoulder injury didn't help him at all. But with all that said, congratulations to Truax, he says, for going overseas to seize the opportunity and bring the belt back to the States. And finally, a final farewell to two great fighters, Jean Pascal and Orlando Salido. Both are solid fighters and will be missed. I agree with you there, and I agree with Khalib Truax, although I didn't give him a chance, but I agree that James DeGale looks like a completely shot fighter at this point, and it happens overnight, that's for sure. Back to the original question, where does Lomachenko go from here, Sal? I'd like to see him just beat everybody in that division if he hasn't already, and then consider moving up. He's still a young guy. He's not 30 yet. I mean, what do you think he should do at this point?
Like I said earlier, Bill, I think he should not rush to become a lightweight or anything else. I mean, I think it would even rehydration process 24 hours later. I think they said he was about 140 pounds, but that's not, I think, where he should be right now in a fight. I think his weight class as a junior lightweight, I think he'll reign there for as long as he'd like. I could see him maybe going up to a lightweight. But his body's got to mature a little bit. I think maybe in a year or two, he'll probably fill in as a lightweight. But right now, I don't think he should rush himself out of the junior lightweights. He can rule that. He's king of it. And, this guy wants to be something special in boxing. And what we all saw the other night, he nullified Rigondeaux, who Rigondeaux was undefeated. Nobody wanted to fight Rigondeaux. And what he did to Rigondeaux was just unbelievable. He nullified anything that this guy could provide, and it was a no mas fight. And I'll be surprised unless his hand's in a cast. But how many times have we even heard of fighters fighting with a broken hand? Come on, it happens all the time. They don't just quit. So I don't know. I think that this is a big moment for Lomachenko. I think he is a special fighter. I think he is a face of boxing today, and I think he is leaving his fans wanting to see more. And what else could we get from a fighter? This guy is so exciting, electrifying, that he is going to draw a lot of people into boxing when they say, hey, you got to watch Lomachenko. You got to see what this guy could do. Right now, as a junior lightweight, he'll give us all that and more.
The thing is that Rigondeaux knew that he didn't have a chance, and that's why he decided that it was over. Now, as far as Lomachenko, the sad part of it is, we've talked about this many, many times on this show. You need the right dance partners in order to get into that. Historical people who look at you from a historical perspective, all-time great, et cetera, et cetera. And unfortunately for Lomachenko, he doesn't really have those dance partners in this weight division. And I think he's already the best of the weight. So, I mean, that's what's going to persuade him to move up. Now, when and if and how he moves up in weight, it seems like his team, and specifically his father, has calculated and thought out everything that Lomachenko has done from the day he was born up until this point. They were making some comments during the broadcast. When did you decide that when did you decide Vasyl was going to be a great fighter? And he said before he was conceived. I mean, that's, a pretty heavy statement. So the truth of the matter is I would think that the fight between Lomachenko and Mikey Garcia is going to be the one everybody wants to see. I just don't know if that's the right fight for Lomachenko yet. It is a bigger fight. Can he knock out Mikey Garcia? Probably not. Mikey Garcia has displayed a granite chin. I don't think Lomachenko has that one-punch knockout. Accumulation, yes. But, in order to accumulate those kind of punches to stop Mikey Garcia, you got to be in Mikey Garcia's wheelhouse. Mikey Garcia has stepped up to every single challenge he's faced. It would be a great fight. I just don't think physically it's even at all. Mikey Garcia will be the way bigger fighter. It's a tough one. Great fighters do great things. It's what I was critical over. Floyd, what's his name? Never challenged himself. Never did great things. That wasn't a smokescreen. Lomachenko wants to do great things. So as much as it doesn't sound like he should, it sounds like he will. You know what I mean? He doesn't. He shouldn't, but it sounds like he will, Sal.
Yes, and Bill, not to contradict ourselves, I mean, Lomachenko, he wants to be viewed as one of the very best, and he wants to do something very special in boxing and for boxing. And, as you said, the dance partners available at the junior lightweight division are going to be, if not already, depleted. So a natural gravitation would be to fight Mikey Garcia in the near future, maybe by sometime in mid to end of 2018. The fans will call for it. The promoters will put the buzz out there, and sooner or later, I think it's going to happen. And you know what? You'll have with the 24 hours before a fight weigh-in, you'll have entering the ring the night after. For fight night, you'll have Lomachenko entering between 136 and 140 pounds. You'll have Mikey Garcia probably entering between 145 and 150 pounds. So, it is going to be what it is. I think, in my mind, it's going to be hard to get around the skill level that Lomachenko does have, and I would predict right here and now that Lomachenko beats Mikey Garcia, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, Dax Kahn is scheduled to join us. Don't go anywhere.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now. or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And we're back to talking about the Vasyl Lomachenko and Guillermo Rigondeaux fight. And the one thing that kind of ruined this fight for me was the referee. Willis is just too much. How about the pre-fight instructions? I mean, it was comical. He's making all these faces trying to be funny in there. Maybe he should try a stand-up routine. I don't know. Joining us right now to get his thoughts on the fights is my man Dax Kahn. Good morning, Dax.
Morning, hey, Dax. Good morning.
So first and foremost, what was your thoughts, man? Vasyl Lomachenko takes a Rigondeaux and made him look ordinary. I mean, maybe even less than ordinary. What was your thoughts on the whole fight?
Well, my first thought is, as I told Sal, this sport needs a hero so bad they're pitiful. But anyway, you know, when was the last time we've ever seen two fighters of that skill set in the same ring at one time? I don't mean a pound-for-pound fighter against an elite fighter, but two genuine pound-for-pound fighters with the accomplishments of Lomachenko and Rigondeaux, and then we see one crumble for no apparent reason.
You know, it's a good question, and that's the problem with the sport, that, you know, the best don't fight the best. They say they do, but they really don't. So hats off to both Rigondeaux and Lomachenko for even fighting this fight to begin with. And then to see the utter domination of one over the other was, I mean, it's time to give. If anybody wasn't giving Lomachenko credit before this fight, it's time.
You know, Lomachenko is what he is. There's nothing to take away from his skill set. But, you know, we'll get to that in a minute. People go overboard in this sport. You know, Rigondeaux had trouble getting those big fights. The best in his division is willing to face him. That's why he asked for this fight, and that's why I really thought he was going to dig deep. But, you know, from opening bell, he didn't show that extra before Lomachenko took over anything. Rigondeaux didn't. You know, he was very happy with making Lomachenko miss. He was fighting the right fight at first. He was tying Lomachenko up. He was keeping him. He started frustrating him. Remember, Lomachenko's team, even in the dressing room when they were talking with the referee, that was their big concern about being tied up, because Lomachenko gets his best work in close when he lets loose his combinations. He turns. By the time their guys reset themselves, he's already letting his hands go. I never seen an opponent before make Lomachenko miss like Rigondeaux had. You know, again, Rigondeaux, I think, career 17% connect ratio he's had on all his opponents up to then. So, you know, but he was happy just doing just that. He wasn't letting his hands go. And he was getting in the mind of Lomachenko. At some point in time, I was saying to myself, okay, now that Lomachenko is starting to use his elbow, he's hitting late. In that fifth round, he hit, you know, a few seconds after the bell. You can see he was getting mad. I figured, okay, you know, this is going to play into Rigondeaux's hands. He's going to use some of his experience, and then, you know what, he's going to capitalize on some of these mistakes because he is a defensive genius, and he's a counterpuncher, but he never did that. And so Rigondeaux, what's he do? He goes back to his corner and he quits. Why? I don't know. He wasn't taking excessive punishment. He was starting to get into the mind of Lomachenko. You know, he just didn't want to fight. He didn't want to fight, and that was from the opening bell. And that's not taken away from the win of Lomachenko. Just Rigondeaux showed nothing like he wanted to win.
Dax, what are you talking about? He was getting in the head of Lomachenko. Explain that, because I didn't see any of that.
Listen, Lomachenko was hitting blatantly behind the head. When Rigondeaux was down low, Lomachenko just punched him right behind it several times. Lomachenko's never been, even in the Salido fight, Lomachenko never got frustrated like that. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, of course. But you know something? Lomachenko he was getting frustrated. Hitting after the bell, getting frustrated. We have seen a lot of fighters in the past, great fighters, you know, you take them out of their comfort zone and then you're able to get them out of their game plan and do with them as you want. And Rigondeaux, you know, it looked like he was about to try and do that, but he never even bothered trying. You know, he never bothered trying. As good as Lomachenko is, skill set wise, what would happen when a fighter actually is fighting him back? There's going to be people out there with the, oh, you're a hater, or all that other nonsense that they come out and they give these days. You know, you don't want to give him credit. It's not taking away credit from him. But, you know, recently, as of this weekend, of course, Mikey Garcia is the big name that's been on there. And Lomachenko versus Garcia is a very good fight. Who would win? I don't know. But then, you know, you get these drones. Yes, I say drones out there who I've seen this weekend say, if Terrence Crawford would stay at 140 pounds for one more fight, Lomachenko could move up there, and he'd make Terrence Crawford quit in his next fight. You know, people, they just go overboard. That's what I mean. They're desperate for a hero.
Dax, I didn't see it as frustration at all. What I saw is that I saw Lomachenko getting kind of pissed at Willis, who's a terrible referee, and with the hitting behind the head. That was when Rigondeaux was getting so low down to the ground, and that hit after the bell. I'm surprised he didn't get a warning on that, but I looked at it as Lomachenko just saying, hey, you know, if you're going to elbow me, if you're going to pull my head down and try and hit me, if you're going to keep holding me the way he was, and there's no question he was holding, I'm talking about Rigondeaux, then I'm going to do this. And that's what we have said. That's one thing that we can honestly say that Lomachenko learned from his loss to Salido. Those were tactics that Salido was doing, and at that fight, if you go back and watch that fight, especially like you've said many times before, you like to watch frame by frame, he was not doing it in that fight. I think he learned, hey, this is how you get fighters to respect you. I didn't look at it as frustration at all. I looked at it as like, if you're going to do this, this is what I'm going to do. And I think that Rigondeaux had no answer. I agree with you 100%. It didn't appear like he was taking a savage beating. It didn't appear like there was anything going on except that he felt that it was not his night and decided not to take any additional punishment, which I don't understand. I didn't hear any extended reports on the injury that he claimed, et cetera, et cetera. But like Sal says, in such a big fight, especially from a guy like Rigondeaux who's longing to get his name out there and make some paydays that he should have, this was not the way it ended. It should have ended for him.
No, it's not. But, you know, just back to the fouls. I'm saying, you know, again, like I said, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I don't take away from him for doing that. The referee should have stepped in. But my point of that matter is, you know, something. There's guys out there. We'll just say recently a Bernard Hopkins type guy who specializes in things like that. Take Orlando Salido, a guy who specializes in those types of fighting. When Lomachenko was doing that blatantly, that's a little bit out of frustration. You know, he doesn't, you know, have that mastered yet. He's still developing as a professional, yes. But, you know, if he should go in there against one of these guys, you know, let's say another Salido type guy who isn't going to get frustrated, the guy who says, you know what, there's only one of two ways I'm leaving this ring, either on my own steam or on my back. I'm not going to quit inside my corner. Lomachenko, let's see how good a guy is. I don't care who it is in history. Take all the greats, whether it was Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, Holyfield, Tyson, Armstrong, Whitaker, you name it. You're not a great fighter until you've been into the trenches and you've shown that you can come out of those trenches ahead, or you're willing to go down and stay in those trenches. But instead, what we have in this sport here, we have people declaring this guy the greatest fighter of all time ever. That's what I mean. People are just so desperate for a hero. And there is no such thing as an unbeatable, perfect fighter with no flaws. Lomachenko has flaws. Stop.
I don't think anybody's. I think he wants to be the greatest.
I've seen it, and I can bring
I don't care what you saw.
Thousands of posts. I can the YouTube videos. People on TV. They say no fighter is invincible and perfect. No such fighter exists.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the next issue I have and that's the WWE event known as Luis Ortiz against Daniel Martz. It was sickening to see. First of all, I thought Ortiz looked ordinary at best, and they had him in there with the perfect opponent, and they staged the whole thing with Wilder and all this stuff. What was your thoughts on that fight, the shenanigans that went on before the fight with Wilder, and then, of course, the WWE style call out in the ring, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, was there a surprise that Ortiz was going to win? Daniel Martz was knocked out by Brian Jennings in his last fight, I believe. So that wasn't a surprise. As soon as they showed Deontay Wilder ringside, I took to social media right away. I said, here we go. It's going to be the Deontay Wilder show. And then they bring him on the mic. Them Deontay Wilder's talking, and he comes in, I'm going to bless you. I was going to bless you once. I'm going to bless you again. Then he had the nerve to go in there and call, I think you're the best. All right, then I think you're one of the best, and that's why I want to fight you. I'm going to bless you with a payday. I'm going to bless you by giving you another opportunity. Deontay Wilder, Eddie Hearn, and Anthony Joshua offered to bless you. Whether or not you can win that fight, whether or not you can lose that fight, whether or not you lose that fight doesn't matter. They offered to bless you. The man who is the unified heavyweight champion is above the guy who's a former interim belt holder at 37 years old. You're going to get blessed with the highest payday of your career. You want to use the excuse that I shouldn't have to fight Dillian White. Fine, don't fight Dillian White. Negotiate and make that other fight. But again, you don't want to fight the best Deontay Wilder. And go out there and you talk like that. At any minute, I was waiting either for them to say Sting is in the rafters. I was waiting to hear Undertaker music. I was waiting for Deontay Wilder to come around and do a Stone Cold Stunner. I was waiting for something like that to happen. I don't know. I don't know why Deontay Wilder still does his hair like Chris from Boys in the Hood back in 1991. I have no idea what's going on there, but it's all an act. And it's pitiful. It's sad.
I agree. What do you think, Sal?
I'll tell you what, Dax, you depicted exactly what I saw and translated exactly what I felt.
Deontay Wilder next is going to fight Sammy Chef.
Sammy Chef.
Oh man!
Knock him out quicker than Tyson did.
Yeah. Well, he's. I'm telling you, he's Toro from the harder they fall. There's no question. Listen. There's no doubt that I wanted to see, Ortiz against Wilder. I want to see Wilder fight a real fighter. But my opinion is Luis Ortiz is not the same fighter he was several years ago. And he's always shown, glimpses of being good and which version of him is going to show up. And to me, Dax, even against Martz, he just looked kind of slow. He left his head open. It just seems like if Deontay Wilder comes in smart, the way he fought Stavern, trying to employ his jab, I think he's going to keep Ortiz away at a safe distance and eventually wear him down. As much as I hate to say it, I think Wilder's going to beat Ortiz and probably stop him.
The version of Ortiz we seen on Saturday night, I feel Deontay Wilder has an easy time with. I think Deontay Wilder is a talented fighter. What I have against Deontay Wilder are these antics. That's what I have against Deontay Wilder. Nothing to do with Deontay Wilder, the fighter. It's Deontay Wilder, the actor.
Oh, I agree.
Good point.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. I can't stand I swear I'm going to kill somebody in the ring. I swear I'm going to kill. It's WWE.
Listen, one more of these skits they have in the ring. Do you know what the Carney Awards are?
I think that he should get one.
Good
I think he should.
He'll get a Carney Award. What? I know who he is, but I can't remember his name. That's going to be his legacy if he continues like this.
Yeah, but the funny part was the announcing team saying, "Oh, there he is with the fans. Everywhere he goes, he gets mobbed by fans." I'm saying, they were asking people on the street in Brooklyn if they ever heard of the guy. The 2 days before his last fight at the Barclays Center, everybody thought he was a basketball player. Nobody ever heard of the guy. It's a joke. It's a joke. But,
he has about as much popularity as the Nets.
Almost. You're right about that. Dax, I'm sure you got a chance to watch the Daniel Dubois fight against Dorian Darch. It didn't show me anything. I mean, he improved to 6-0 with 6 knockouts. But one thing I did notice was Dorian Darch landed some shots when he came in close. He was landed many shots. I thought it was. I thought that was something that I think. Triple D has to go back and work a little bit on his defense. What do you think?
Anthony Joshua, at that stage, he was hit. That's what guys like Dubois had in front of him Saturday are there to work. This is a guy who isn't overly dangerous. He's a guy that might be able to land a few shots. He might give you something in your head to say, I got to correct this, I got to correct that, without putting you in any real danger. So it was the right opponent. It's early in Daniel Dubois' career. Now, if that happens when he takes that next step up, then his team has something to worry about. But I would hope that they go back and they fix this little flaw.
One last thing, Dax. Orlando Solido fought Miguel Mickey Roman in a very entertaining fight. At the end of the fight, Solido said he retired. He got old in there. I thought the same exact thing. but at least he went out on his shield. What was your thoughts on that fight?
It was a great fight. You know, we said Friday, depending on which version of these guys come in, you could be in for a treat. And the best versions of these two guys came in there, at least the best version of what Orlando Salido had left. It was a back-and-forth fight early on. We thought Salido was going to get Mickey Roman out of there. Mickey Roman comes back. He drops Orlando Salido several times. Salido was just really worn out. 37 years old, even though he doesn't have as many fights as Roman in total, Orlando Salido has a lot of miles, a lot of wars on him. Just his style, it catches up with you. That's not taking anything away from the win. I like Mickey Roman. He's a hard luck kid. He's a guy that, needed something like this to help get him to that next level. He has a new trainer, and hopefully, this is opening something new in his career. That was the exact opposite of what we've seen with Rigondeaux and Lomachenko, where Rigondeaux had the biggest opportunity in his career, and he was just happy to quit on his stool. And these were two guys that were just willing to sit there and let it all out with no titles on the line, because that's what they do. They're fighters. Now, Orlando Salido, he's a guy that you're going to say to yourself in 5 years, is he Hall of Fame worthy? Look at the losses he has. He lost to this guy. He didn't beat this guy. Is this really Hall of Fame? Is this Hall of Fame worthy material? And if he gets in, a lot of people are going to say, well, they really dropped the standards of the Hall of Fame. But then you have to ask yourself, how many great fights did this guy give? How much blood did he leave in the ring? How many nights did he have me on the edge of my seat, biting my nails, drinking my drink, lighting up cigarettes, pacing back and forth, just wondering how this is going to turn out? Because that's, guys like Orlando Salido are very few in this sport. They're fading out. So Orlando Salido, in my opinion, appreciate everything he did for the sport. Best of luck to him in his endeavors, and best of luck to Mickey Roman. Those two guys, they are what boxing is about. Those are the type of guys that make people fall in love with the sport. On that card, the other guy, who's Tevin Farmer, was he robbed without shame against Kenji Ogawa. Ogawa's a good fighter, but, Farmer outboxed him. He outclassed him. He should have gotten a unanimous decision win. There's 115-113 from DeLuca. Burt Clemens, 116-112. Only Tim Chatham had it correct, 116-112 for Farmer. But, how discouraging. Farmer's a hard-working kid. He should have got that decision there. And, also on that card, too, what about Stephen Smith? That ear was horrible in that fight against Francisco Vargas. Again, he was behind, but he kept fighting. He didn't want to quit. The kid never complained. Those are warriors. Those guys that don't quit.
I think Salido will get into the Hall of Fame simply because of his victory over Lomachenko. When Lomachenko finishes his career, obviously, even if he ends up losing or whatever, he's still going to be regarded as a great fighter, and Salido has that win over him. So that is going to carry a long way, I believe. But as far as the Tevin Farmer fight, I thought Ogawa was landing some harder shots in the second half of the fight. I thought the first half was for Farmer, but it was a close fight. It's a tough one to score, but in any event. Dax, I appreciate you coming on.
One last thing, John Pascal.
Oh, right. That's right. You're right. Thanks for reminding me. Billy Eye is a guy, and this is exactly what I said to Sal earlier on the show, Dax. This is what happens when you don't give your fighter a chance to fight better opposition. Jean Pascal didn't do anything crazy. He looked just as raw and terrible as he has in his last several fights. He was just in there with a guy that just didn't have any answers because he never fought anybody better than the slugs that they fed him.
John Pascal, we asked Friday what was going to happen. Will this rejuvenate Pascal's career, or will Pascal hang him up? We know he's been a part-time fighter. He's been debating other things outside of boxing, what he can do with himself. Pascal knew going in what he wanted to do. He went out there. He wanted to go out on a win. He wanted to go out on his own terms, and he wanted to go out with an exciting fight. Maybe El Bali, he is not a named opponent. No, he's not the guy that maybe a lot of people would have picked. But Pascal went out there and he slugged. He entertained the fans. It was a great fight. El Bali, he's only going to get better after this fight. But, Jean Pascal, he's had a good career. He was, the linear light heavyweight champion that wins over Hopkins. When Hopkins was pound for pound, Chad Dawson, Diocano, Lucien Bute, the name goes on. He's only had losses to the very best. He said pre-fight, while Bernard Hopkins and Miguel Cotto are great fighters, I don't want to go out that way. I want to go out my way, and he went out his way. You have to applaud that, and you have to give him credit, and you have to appreciate that, considering over this last year how many guys have retired, and you know what? They didn't go out their way. Only Andre Ward and Floyd Mayweather and his second, third retirement, whichever you want to call it, went out his way. But Vladimir Klitschko, Orlando Salido, Miguel Cotto, Juan Manuel Marquez, Takashi Uchiyama, Robert Guerrero, they all went out more or less. They were forced out. They were ushered out by lesser opponents. Jean Pascal, this is a guy maybe levels below him, but at this stage in Pascal's career, he didn't do a Bernard Hopkins. He wasn't knocked out of the ring by, a guy like Joe Smith Jr., who's not a bad fighter, but he's definitely not, an elite fighter, more or less not much above the level of Eli Albi. So, John Pascal went out there without being forced out, and you have to applaud that, and you have to appreciate that.
No doubt. Dax, we look forward to you later in the week, my man.
All right, everybody, enjoy your day.
That's Dax Kahn. You can check him out on the website. BillyCBoxing.com. And programming note, we are not doing a live show on Friday of this week. And then next week, I believe it's a shortened week. And then we got the holidays here. So once we take the Christmas break, we won't be back till after the 1st. But big boxing this weekend, Sal. We got your guy is fighting this weekend.
My guy.
We'll be looking forward. We'll be looking forward to that, and we'll be talking about the Billy Joe Saunders David Lemieux fight a little bit later in the week. But I don't know, man. All this talk about Lomachenko, I think he's the best fighter in boxing, pound for pound, right now.
I do agree with you. I'll tell you why. Call it what you will. I'm jumping on the Lomachenko bandwagon, but I do know. I see what he possesses, and this guy, I like him for boxing. I like him for anything right now with having to do with boxing. The guy represents. I'm sorry if I'm going to just tout him all I can, but I mean, he is a great ambassador of boxing. I mean, he works out, he lives clean, he does it all. He's a student, he's evolving, he learns. And I'll also say this, Bill, seldom, if not ever, have you seen a father-son relationship work so well together up to this point. And I applaud that as well. I mean, this, like I said, a fighter like Lomachenko, a fighter like Sugar Ray Leonard, they're rare to come along every once in a while. And I think Lomachenko, as he wants to be the face of boxing, he wants to be something special in boxing. I think he's well on his way. And I think he'll continue to improve. I think he'll continue to display an artful way of beating opponents. And I think, when he may lack in power, he's going to make up for well in the volumes of just being astute and just being able to be versatile enough to handle any situation that opposes him.
I think, first of all, I think that he is the face of boxing right now, future face. Anyway. Right now. I think that I think that with him, there's a mean streak I see in him, and I like it. And I think if he was able to develop, like you suggest a couple seconds ago, a little more punching power, or at least go in for the kill, I think he's got a great opportunity to do just that in the weight division that he's currently in. I know people are going to want to force him to move up and fight a guy like Mikey Garcia, which obviously would be a big money fight for both of them. I just don't think he's ready for Garcia in terms of size yet. I think that there comes a point where you can't expect fighters to continuously move up. I was critical of Floyd not moving up to middleweight, but this is a guy that walks around, close to that weight. So it wasn't like he was moving crazily up. And you can make that same argument about Lomachenko, that he, weighed 138 for the night of the fight. It was a rehydration clause that he couldn't weigh past that, and he did after he ate. So, I mean, this is the guy. This is as big as he's going to be. Mikey Garcia makes weight at 135. Fight night, he's 147, 148, maybe 150.
Maybe 150.
Yeah. So,
he's got a bigger frame. He's got a bigger frame.
No doubt. And if they did make a fight between Lomachenko and Mikey Garcia, maybe they have to make sure they put in that rehydration clause for Mikey Garcia, to keep the the scales even, so to speak. But it's going to be interesting to see what goes on with Lomachenko from here on out. clearly put on a great and entertaining performance. You know, for a one-sided fight, I was entertained, Sal. I don't know about you, but I was entertained. I mean, generally in the past, when I see a fight like that that's one-sided, it's, you know, I want to start doing other things. But I was entertained with that fight. What about you?
Well, I was too, Bill. But, you know, I think I was so entertained because of the fact that knowing that Rigondeaux, I thought there was a looming presence of maybe he's going to do something different, to turn a fight around or to do something that is going to surprise the audience or surprise Lomachenko. But that opportunity never came about, and it was never there. But I was entertained, and like I said, just watching Lomachenko is a piece of art. I mean, it's exactly what a fighter should do and how he does it, and just delivers. I mean, he has the astute awareness. He has the kinesthetic sense. I use that term. He knows where his muscles are, how he's going to deliver. He knows, like radar, what's going to happen. He anticipates correctly. And like I said, he's just a class above from what we're used to seeing. And I think he's going to give the fans and give boxing a great shot in the arm that it deserves for a long period of time. Hopefully for several years now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that he's a special fighter. There's no question about it. And, you know, Bernard Osuna was saying that even Rigondeaux's corner was saying the same stuff. You know, you got to do something. You got to throw punches, blah, blah, blah. And he just wasn't. I think that there was some frustration on Rigondeaux's part. He looked every bit of his age. And like I said, even though I made a big deal of it Friday, I don't think the size was an issue here. I think it was the skill set. I really do. I think that Lomachenko's skill set has really put some separation between he and everyone else, pound for pound. I really, you know, when you see a guy spin around and constantly landing shots and have an opponent basically not be able to even see where he is, but he's within punching distance from you, I think that says it all, Sal.
It does. And like I said, this guy's a very special fighter, Bill. I mean, he trains differently. He does things. He pushes himself. He challenges himself. And I think the father-son combination, what they're doing and how they prepare, it's a winning formula, and I can't take it away. And I hope they continue on the right path because he's good for boxing. I look forward to seeing him again and again. That's what it does. That's what a good fighter does. He gets fans. He gets people interested in him. And I'm very interested in seeing what this guy could do further on in his career.
I agree. On this day, well, actually, my trivia question is still alive.
I can't believe it. Oh my!
It's a tough one. I'm going to give you guys a big hint on this one. If you're the first one to email me the correct answer, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. You'll win your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. Here's the question. It's a who am I question. I captured my first world title on my first try. But once I lost it, it took me almost 12 years and 5 attempts before I would win another world title. Who am I? The hint here is that this guy recently fought he recently fought trying to resurrect his career and had won the title. It wasn't that long ago. So my hint is this guy recaptured that 12 years and 5 attempts later to recapture was less than 10 years ago. Less than 10 years ago. And less than that. That's my extra hint. If you're the first one to guess this right, you will win your very own copy of the title bout. Again, email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. I captured my first world title on my first try, but once I lost it, it took almost 12 years and 5 attempts before I would win another world title. Who am I? Good luck to everybody on that. And finally, on this day, December 11th in boxing history, in 1982, one of my favorite fighters, Bobby Chacon, wins a 5th-round decision over Bazooka Lyman. What a great fight that was. 15-round decision to win the world junior lightweight title. Took place in Sacramento, California. And in the junior lightweight division, I would love to see a guy like Lomachenko fight a Bobby Chacon or a Bazooka Lyman.
Yes.
Would be an interesting fight if we could have that time machine working correctly. On this day in 1970, Kunaki Shibata knocks out Vincent Salvador in the 14th round to win the WBC World Featherweight title. It took place in California. On this day in 1995, Luisito Espinosa wins a 12-round decision over Manuel Medina to win the WBC World Featherweight title. It took place in Japan. On this day in 1989, Jesus Salad wins the WBA World Junior Featherweight title via 9th-round disqualification over Juan Jose Estrada, and that fight took place in Inglewood, California. On this day in 1988, Jermaine Torres wins a 12-round decision over Kang Soon Jung to win the vacant WBC Junior Flyweight title. It took place in South Korea. On this day in 1925, Paul Berlenbach wins a 15-round decision over Jack Delaney to retain his world light heavyweight title, and that took place at the new Madison Square Garden in New York City, to be replaced by another new one after that. But anyway, and finally, on this day, December 11th, in 1939, Henry Armstrong knocks out Jimmy Garrison in the 7th round to retain his world welterweight title, and that took place in Cleveland, Ohio. A side note here to this fight, Benny Leonard, one of the greatest fighters of all time, was the referee in this fight.
Wow.
So that's what took place on this day, December 11th, in boxing history. We will be here tomorrow. We will be here on Wednesday, and we are scheduled to present our blast from the past it was a requested blast. Alex Papali and myself, Sir Henry Cooper, former heavyweight title challenger, will be our blast. We are off on Friday, but we will be here on Thursday, and we're scheduled to have a special guest join us for a little bit, an author of a new book. So you're not going to want to miss any of the shows this week. And, of course, Sal and myself will be getting you ready for the big fight that we're all looking forward to this weekend coming up, and that is David Lemieux challenging Billy Joe Saunders for the only title that is not owned by Triple G in the middleweight division, the WBO World Middleweight title. So without further ado, make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.